I was talking with Rob, and I'm hoping that you can relate this story from your perspective, because you have to sometimes be the bad guy on set.
Yes.
He was telling me about Unending.
Okay, yeah.
And the final night where it was going early into the morning, and he said we probably went into overtime. And he was talking about I was looking at Lenic, and he was doing this, and he ran over on his last day, and the last shot of the show is of the team going up the ramp. And I think you're into 1 a.m. at this point. It's after. Tell me about that night, would you?
Oh, gee. Okay. There was that was so that was with Ben and Claudia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, it was that was a hard night. It was hard finishing that show. There was so much that happened in my life and career from those first 10 years that, it brings back a lot of emotion, because
Yeah.
there were highs and lows and everything in between on that. And it was a hard night. I remember, it was a challenge. It was because it was everybody was emotional. It was, we knew it was coming to an end, and we knew there were things on the horizon that were good. And
there were movies coming, but this is the show ending.
That's right. And it was bittersweet, because, with that, there's some, personalities there that we didn't really jive with, and you're like, okay, thank God. But there's others that you have spent a lot of time and energy with, and really cultivated friendships and relationships that you have to say goodbye to for a little bit.
Man, I can't imagine being there for that. I mean, Bruce Woloshyn from Rainmaker came to. There were apparently people from production who pretty much never came to set, who were here for that final pass.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine.
Coming to an end on the show that started it all, or the TV part of it started it all. There was a feeling of a conclusion to it, which was nice, but also a feeling of you didn't know if you'd have the same success going forward.
That's true too. Everyone's personalities are a little different. The artistry, the creative, the core people who are making the show from top down. I mean, you guys really set the tone. But not everything is you can't assume anything going forward. I mean, Universe was canceled, right when it was getting good as an audience member.
I agree.
And you can never, I think there's part of it where it's like, and I'm curious as to what you think about this, because when you started off, you were guaranteed 4 seasons and then a fifth pretty quickly after that.
Yes.
That, I imagine, you've never seen since, in terms of having the creative expectation that we do have this runway built out.
Yep.
Let's play in this, rather than season after season after season. Except with Universe, you were guaranteed 2 out of the gate, but no one knew about that.
No, exactly. And I mean, it was, it's been interesting. Every sci-fi series I start, I'm like, do you guys want to buy 2 seasons off the top? You'd have more money to amort things over, so you could build these sets, amort it over 2 seasons, and, have put more on screen. But nobody wants to do that these days. So it's a challenge, because you have these amazing IPs that to world build, and to build worlds from scratch that look completely different than your world. Like Stargate at least was tied to Earth. Yeah. So everything you could believe was brought from Earth in modern day, and but when you're building a civilization from scratch, you have to assume there's nothing from Earth. They have their own widgets and gadgets and knives and blah, 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 and they maybe look similar, but they follow the same progression? You have to think about all that. So really the world building aspect is the most costly, because you have to think about everything that you come in contact with, we take for granted, whether it be a glass, a spoon, a knife, whatever, has to be redesigned or rethought of. How is it going to develop in this world that may be on the surface 500 years either ahead or behind us? Who knows?
We have to be able to recognize it, but you can't pull anything from Home Depot or Lowe's or any kind of home improvement store. And if you do, you have to fully redesign it to mask it.
That's right. And so that is really one of the biggest things. So that was about Stargate was so great because in the first one we could tie to Earth, and going forward from that, that's having it tied to Earth is a big, huge help. And that's the universe ship was not tied to Earth, so that was huge cost to build that.
James Robbins said you built with steel.
Yeah, we did. It was amazing, and it was. That set really was phenomenal, I have to say, in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell me, through the main chunk of your run for production, maybe it was all the way up till the end the same, how you would tackle a script? So when you're looking at an episode is coming. Can you tell me your arc, your involvement in it from beginning to end in terms of what your influence would be in production? Where were you through the majority of the time on Stargate in terms of the production of an episode? What were your chief responsibilities and what would you handle? You kind of alluded to it.
Everything from soup to nuts almost.
Yeah.
In the early seasons, in the later seasons, so I take a script, I read it, and then my immediate reaction is to want to break it down into a one-liner to see how it schedules out. So at least I then do that process, which gets my head more into the script, into the details of it, and knows sort of logistically how it's going to be tackled. And then you look at it in a one-liner, you can see where your holes are, and schedule-wise, at least. And okay, there's only 2 pages in this one location that is not near anything else that we need. So is there any way that we can either change that or adapt it or those sorts of things? So then at that point, I take it to the executive producers and I say, okay, yeah, this looks good. Or is there any way we can, maneuver certain things around to make them fit a little bit nicer? And they would say yes. And you get into that dialogue about, can we, instead of being in a gravel pit, can it be in a X? I can't think of it right now, but
because your region in terms of what's available, I would imagine.
Exactly. And
if you're going to have to go out on a location,
Yeah.
Are you relatively accurate in terms of estimating the amount of time it takes to get through a page, the budget based on what it is that they're looking for? I would imagine that all comes into it. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. If you usually once you work with people on a show, you get a sense of their cadence and you can understand, okay, we can probably, depending on the director or this person, that person, you understand what they're able to accomplish in a day. Like Peter DeLuise, you could easily do a 7-page day and not.
You said 9.
Well, yes, I'm being generous. He sometimes did 9, 10 pages, and we'd all be like, "Oh my God, is he going to make it through it?" But he did. He was amazing at that. And sometimes you get directors that you're like, "No, that'd be lucky if we get through 2 pages." So that's the variable that you can't control. But if you are working with a director the same, day in, day out, or the same group like Andy Makita and all that kind of thing, I knew how they would look at it. So you kind of, this will fit with this or this won't fit with that.
Thanks for watching this clip from Dial the Gate. You can find the full live stream shows on our YouTube channel or visit dialthegate.com for the complete schedule. See you on the other side.